Hey guys, in this Uber driver review, today I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know before you get started with Uber. If you're looking for a legitimate means to, make money from home in your spare time or even on a full-time basis, then this Uber driver review is for you. I'm Wally with learninit.com, and I made this video today based on my personal experience. Yes, I was a driver with Uber a year, and I wanted to express to you guys in this review some of the things that you need to know if you're new to Uber and you're thinking about, trying it out. It's a business opportunity. There's some things that you need to know before you get started with them. Just a little bit about myself with respects to, Uber. I heard about it, I would say a little bit over a year ago from my sister. She at the time was unemployed, she was sick, and she was, looking for a way to, make money from home. And so that's what she did. She started, with Uber, and she was liking it. It was like super flexible and allowing her to make, some money from home. Thankfully, one of the things that I really appreciate about her is that she never hyped it up. She never talked about, like all the money she was making. She just, left it um, for me to investigate. And that's what I really appreciate, about her. One of the things that she mentioned is that, Uber is like a nice side hustle, whether you want to do it part time or full time, but you really get the most out of it depending on the way how you work it. And so that was something that I had to test out for myself. The year that I was on the road itself. And, to my surprise, I was very impressed with it. It did serve, its purpose. And I wanted to reveal to you guys today in this Uber driver review what I thought about it. You can also check out the link that'll be right below in this video. And basically, it's just going to take you over to my blog where you can read more about it. Okay. All right, guys. So let's dig into this review, and I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know before you get started with Uber. So one of the first things that you need to do is to download the Uber Driver app. You can do that by going to your Play Store, or if you have an iPhone, you can go to your iStore there, and your App Store rather, and you can download the app. It's very easy to do. You can do it, within a few short seconds. So that's the very first thing that you want to do. Once you go to Uber.com, which I'm on right now, just go to sign up, and it'll prompt you to, sign up to drive. So you do that. You click on that, as I just did, right? And from there, you just follow the prompts, getting started. It's pretty simple, straightforward. You sign up with your email, first and last name. You have to key in your phone number, create a password, the city where you primarily will drive, and the type of vehicle. So you can plug all of that in there. And if you got a promo code, from somebody, I don't know, on Craigslist or something like that or whatever, you can do that. If you're interested in one, I can definitely provide you one as well. But that's really the beginning process to doing it. First, you want to download the app. Then you want to click on sign up, which will bring you right here where we're at right now, right? And so from there, fill in your credentials right there, and it's just gonna take you through the process where you're gonna provide your personal information. You do have to have a background check. From that point, you're gonna upload your insurance documents, for your car, your registration, all of that good stuff to get you up and running on the road. I would say that the entire process, guys, takes about 24 hours, at least in my case. That's how long it took me. And you'll get like an acceptance, email that you're ready to, get on the road and start making money within 24 hours on average. That's been the case with me as well as some others that have, worked with Uber. So that in a nutshell is how you get started with Uber. So now I want to talk about, the money making process itself. I mean, obviously, if you're watching this Uber driver review, you want to know, how do you make money with it? Can you really make, money, with the opportunity itself? I want to say yes and no. Yes, if you work it right. No, if you work it the wrong way. And I'm going to break down what I mean by each one of those. The absolute best way to make money as an Uber driver, guys, is to work doing mainly two different time slots from 5 to 9 a.m. or from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. Now, if you're a person that likes to have your evenings off, the mornings will probably be best, to work, or vice versa. If you like to work during, you want to have your mornings off or whatever, then you work at night. Those are typically the high end demand hours, I would say, from 5 a.m. to 9 and then 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. that they recommend you to drive. And it really doesn't matter, where you are. Typically, those time slots work. Of course, you can make money in between those hours, but obviously most people during the hours of 5 to 9, they're going to work, running errands, 5 p.m. beyond, they're leaving work and doing, other things. Who knows, maybe restaurant hopping or whatever. But I mean, those hours tend to be the most busiest. When you get started with Uber, you're going to notice that once you turn on your app itself, and on my blog itself, I'm going to go to what you're going to see. This is like an example, guys, right here of the app itself. Once you get started, they do give you the option of selecting which navigational system you want to use. I mean, you can use Waze, you can use, Google Maps, different, whatever one that you want to use. You just download it on your, your Play Store or whatever. You install it, and then you can easily integrate it, for the Uber app itself. But one of the things that you want to do is you want to focus on driving in what are called like hotspots. And the hotspots itself, you can read more about it, on the app itself. Kind of looks like that, right? Where it's kind of like a red area itself. And you may see different spots, and you drive like in those, given areas that they suggest. And typically there are more calls in those areas. I'm not sure about your particular, state where you live, or town or city, but there's some areas that allow for Uber drivers to pick up at airports, and there are others that don't. So you do want to follow, the local laws of your area. Always check with Uber, because, it may be okay to drive or pick up, passengers from the airport, or it may not. But again, you don't want to go to areas where it may be prohibited. Generally speaking, I've never had any issues with um, different areas. Like in the area where I was from, you couldn't pick up passengers from the airport. It was just prohibited, but you could drop them off. So I just mentioned that up front because it may be busy, and you may have a potential of, picking up a lot of people at airports, but you definitely want to follow, the local laws where you live, and even check with, the Uber app, contact Uber directly to find out if that's something that is open to you. So we talked a little bit about the time slots, time frames that I think are the busiest for you. And one thing that I wanted to mention, guys, because we are talking about money, if you're on my website at learnthenet.com, you want to check out our disclaimers page. We're not making any income claims here, any income guarantees, or we're not stating what you could potentially make. This video is not about that. It's just to let you know what to expect as an Uber driver. It's an Uber driver review, but we're not here to give you any hype or to tell you that you can make, thousands of dollars in a week or something crazy like that. This is just my personal experience, what I personally made with them, and my experience that I had, as a driver. So just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. Be sure to look at that disclaimers page and to read that as well. So the question comes up, a lot, how much can you make with Uber? And that's the question that I had. But the only real way that I could figure that out was driving, by myself. And what I'll say is that in the area where um, I was working in an area where it was pretty busy. It's a very tourist driven area. And my schedule, I was working like a job, during the day. And I would work Uber like 3 to 4 nights. And so it kind of broke down for me. It was like 10 to 15 hours on average per week that I was doing. And that was just based on my circumstances. I mean, for you, it may be different. Maybe you might have more availability. You might be able to, work longer hours, whatever. I mean, it's all up to you. But for me personally, I averaged about 200 to 300 per week. And that was based on 10 to 15 hours per week that I was doing. Again, that was me. That may not be your case. It may be totally different for you. And so, for that reason, I just mentioned that, everything that you do all the time and energy that you put forth in this Uber driver opportunity will really determine if you make a lot or you make a little with it. One of the things that you want to know, no, that you should know, I should say, as a beginner, is that um, you also want to look at what's the thing I wanted to mention? I almost forgot. Not only given areas, but also the time slots. I mentioned about the time slots, but also like specific areas where you have like a lot of red, like on your app itself, and you'll see it once you guys get started. They call it hotspots or like surge moments where it tends to be like busier and you can get more calls, from Uber. Of course, depending on how many Uber drivers are in the area may also trigger, how many calls you get. But I mean, that's just another factor that, you have to consider. But what I wanted to mention is that one of the things that you will encounter, at least I encounter, I had some issues, with the app itself. And I do want to say it out front, guys, that Uber has made a lot of changes, a lot of improvements, with their app. Kudos to them. I mean, it was great. But there are some things that, I experienced that I think that you should know about them because you may or most likely will experience them when you're on the road. A lot of drivers, experience it as well. And so I think it's important that um, what to expect, when you get on the road itself. And if you're on my website here at learningnet.com, where I wrote this review up, you'll see these very 10 things that, again, is to be expected. It's something that, may or likely will frustrate you as a driver. But again, it comes with the playing field, it comes with the job, and it's something that, you'll have to deal with. GPS issues, as I mentioned before, you can use, Waze, you can use Google Maps, whatever the GPS system that you want to use, you can add it to your settings, and Uber will definitely grab, that app itself of that GPS, and they'll use that to route, um, when you're navigating, from your location to wherever the rider is located. One of the problems that I've encountered, with that is that sometimes, you may get, a driver's location, right? And you're driving to them, you're trying to locate them, and you arrive to the location where they're at, but it results that they're not physically there. You know what I mean? They may not be there. Sometimes it may take you a route next door or something like that, or maybe like across the street, or sometimes it may be a house off. Although the address is plugged into the GPS, it may take you, somewhere else. So sometimes it may give you like, for example, in this case right here, 200 Larkin Street, and that's just, an example there. It may the actual rider may be located at 205 Larkin Street, something like that. It's just an idea, but I've had many occurrences where the incorrect address was delivered to me. And so one of the problems that results from that is that, one, the customer is upset, the rider's upset because one, they feel like, maybe they've been waiting too long. Why didn't you come get me at, so and so address? And they just may not understand that you don't have any control over that as a driver. You simply, you receive the address that, Uber sends to you, and great, you navigate and follow the directions like they tell you, but it may not always be accurate. So that's one of the problems that you may run into. Just wanted to put that out there. One of the things that I wanted to mention too is that you don't get paid to drive to the rider's location. So if you're at X point and the driver is located, I don't know, 5, 10 miles away or whatever, you have to drive to that individual, pick them up, and it's only at that point of pickup where the trip actually starts where you make money with Uber. And so that's something you want to know. You don't get paid at all So you are, using your gas, you're wasting your gas, driving around and doing all of that. And I say that because I want you to know exactly what to expect. Yes, Uber is an amazing opportunity, it's great, but you do have to consider that you are using your gas. You don't want to be just driving around looking for people. I think personally that Uber is not a business where you're looking for people. You shouldn't be like driving around town like looking for people. I mean, you're not a taxi driver, although you kind of work in the same, function, if you will. You're actually waiting for calls to be routed to you. And so I think that the best thing you can do is park somewhere. And then, from there, you wait for the calls to come to you, and then you drive, to the individual. So you don't want to waste time driving around looking for people. And you do want to remember that you do not get paid um, for the route going to them. You only get paid when the rider is in your car. Okay. All right. So one of another problem that I experienced a lot was that the Uber app will sometimes freeze up, and when that happens, um, interestingly, I mean the trip itself will continue, but sometimes it would freeze up, and I wouldn't be able to end the ride itself, which is a problem because if you can't end the ride, then that means that the rider is still being charged. Sometimes it would impede me from seeing like the earnings. They may not display. So once you log into your Uber driver app, in your settings itself, you can click and look at your earnings, whatever you earn. And sometimes if the Uber app, freezes up, then you can't see that. And again, it's not something that happens a lot, but it has happened enough where it's kind of frustrating sometimes. I've experienced also that Uber says that you can cash out your earnings up to 5 times a day. When I started with Uber, it did work out that way. Sometimes, again, with the app freezing up or they're having technical issues, software issues, or app issues, whatever, it would impede you from doing that. Or even if everything seems to be functioning, sometimes it would just say, "Oh no, you need to wait till direct deposit, or your weekly payout," which is a bummer because if you're just doing it, as a side hustle and you want to make, I don't know, $50 or $100, that day or something like that, and you want the cash for right now because you need it, then the app tells you that you have to wait and you can't receive it right now. I mean that's a problem. That's something that I experienced too. Another thing that I had was issues with like security. Sometimes you log in, to your app itself, and you get like a text message like almost immediately that says, there's a false, there's excuse me, there's an unauthorized login attempt to your account, and I would get that quite often. You know what I mean? And I know it's me entering, keying in my user and my password, and you get these all the time. And I'm just thinking like, well, what is this? It's just a problem. You know what I mean? And that just made me feel like really uncomfortable. Something else that you guys will see and hear about are random photo ID checks. There are lots of posts online. You can read about them, even on the Uber site itself. I mean, they explain to you why they do it. There's another site called uberpeople.net that I found online where you can see basically, what other people think about it, what other people have experienced with that. I don't really understand, why they do it so much. I always think, have they forgotten like what I look like or something like that? I mean, I really don't know. They say for security purposes, but again, I'm the only one using this phone, the only one using this app. So it's very confusing when, they have these random checks where you have to stop your car and you have to take a picture to upload it. Another thing, guys, that you want to know about is you want to be ready to expect rude riders. I think I've probably conducted or probably did like well over, I don't know, maybe well over 100 rides, I'd say. And the vast majority of the riders were very nice. I do want to say that. Really nice riders out there, but you do get once in a while a few riders that are rude. And there's frankly nothing you can do about it. One case that I think about was with a rider who wanted me to speed, and I'm just thinking like, well, I'm not going to speed. I'm not going to, go past the speed limit. I mean, if it's 35 miles per hour, that's what I want to be doing. If it's 45 miles per hour, that's what I want to do. I don't want to speed and, risk getting a ticket. No Uber driver should do that. Uber has I want to say like a speedometer, if you will, that's embedded in the app that actually monitors, the way how you drive, your speed, and all that. And periodically, they will send you, tips on how to improve that. But more importantly, I mean, you don't want to be breaking the law for, some rude driver that wants you to speed and get to their location faster. No, you need to call earlier and, give time for traffic and, unforeseen circumstances because those things, just happen. A driver doesn't have any control over that. And sometimes people take it out on you for that. Or sometimes you have to wait, forever for them to come out. You're at the location and you're waiting, the 5 minutes that Uber says you should wait or whatever like that. And it's like beyond that. So that itself, can make you kind of irritated. Some people will, slam your doors, they're shutting your doors and they just don't care, and it's just one of those things that I think it can be very, very irritating. I mean, you work hard to, maintain your car, and then some people just get in your car and they just slam your door and all this stuff, slam it coming in, they slam it getting out. And some people just don't care. I mean, you do have others who will, take their time, closing and they're very careful, but then you have others who just don't care. I mean, for the most part, I know I mentioned a lot of negative things, like 10 negative things. And if you're on my blog, you're probably following along, on it. But those are just some things, guys, that I saw personally, like firsthand, that went wrong with, my experience with it. I mean, overall, Uber driving was amazing. It was great. Um, I decided to just step away from it to pursue other interests. Obviously, I have my blog and, it's doing very well. I'm into like web hosting and things of that nature and writing reviews. And so, I mean, that's great for me, but if you're looking for something to do, on the side, something that's legit that you can make, money on the side, I definitely recommend the Uber opportunity because again, I mean, there are some downsides, of it, but it's great. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity, but there are some negative sides to it that, you just have to deal with. It comes with the territory. But I think overall it is a good opportunity. It's a legitimate opportunity that'll help you to make some extra cash, from home, um, working practically any hours that you want. I mean, once you get started, you turn on the app, you turn it off, you can work however many hours or little hours that you want. And there's not many, frankly, there's not many jobs out there that'll let you do that. So that's a good positive point that I want to, leave this review with. Should you get started with Uber? It's up to you. I think Uber is a great opportunity. It may be something for you that will work on the short term. It may even be something for the long term. It really depends on your goals. For me, at the time when I got started, I got going because, my dad was sick. He had a stroke and unfortunately landed, in the hospital and his power of attorney. I needed, an additional source of income, something that I could, supplement my current income that I had, at the time. And so Uber just worked. It was a great opportunity. It really, satisfied the needs that I had. And who knows what it could do for you? Only you can really decide on that. You notice in this video, we did talk about income and how to make money. But one of the things you want to do is you want to talk to your like a CPA or if you have like a tax advisor, somebody who can really give you some direction, guys, about how to save money with the Uber opportunity. As you're going to be an independent contractor, and what that means is that the money that you generate with Uber on the road won't be discounted. No taxes will be taken out of it, which means you have to pay those at the end of the year. So you want to talk to like a CPA, tax professional, somebody that can help you to find out ways to maximize your savings, with your income or your taxes rather. So that's not something we're going to talk about on this review, but again, you want to talk to a professional with that. Ride sharing like Uber and Lyft, I mean, they're really great opportunities that really help you to, supplement your income and do all of that. As I mentioned, in this review. But, only you can decide if Uber is for you or not. I just wanted to share with you guys, my personal experience that I had, with Uber and some of the things that you should expect, while on the road. Of course, the list that I provided here is not conclusive, but these are the main aspects or the main things, 10 things that I could think about that really, really affected me, while I was on the road. You may not experience any of these, but if you do experience them, I don't want you to be, like surprised about it. It's something that every Uber driver may experience on the road. But overall, I do want to say that the Uber business opportunity, as a driver is 100% legit. And it's definitely something you should, get started with if you see the need to, supplement your current income. All right, guys, I didn't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to go over some of the points that were, on my blog itself. Give me your thoughts below. Let me know what you think about Uber. If you're going to get started with Uber today, if so, tell me why in the comments area of this video. If you're not going to get started with them, I want to know that too. Tell me why you're not going to get started with them. Let me know what you think about this video. I wanted to be honest, straightforward, and very transparent with the information that I was providing with you guys. Not only with how to get started, but the reality of what it is like when you're on the road as an Uber driver. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and always subscribe if you have not already. That way, future videos, guys, that I put up, you'll definitely be able to watch those as well. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you on the next.